Going to give it another minute or two to see if anybody joins us live. Okay, I'm going to get started. Um, my name is Kim McCullough, and I am a math and movement consultant. I have been working with math and movement for about 5 or 6 years now. Just a little backstory on Math and Movement, in case you're not familiar with the company. Math and Movement was founded by Susie Kuntz, who is an incredible creative soul who is just brilliant and came up with these incredible tools that your students are going to absolutely love. But basically, Susie always loved math as a kid, but really struggled with it. She had a teacher when she was in elementary school tell her that she just needed to stop right there with her dreams of being a mathematician because it wasn't going to happen. She failed fifth grade math, but Susie did not let that stop her. She still loved math and she had that passion for math. So she kept charging forward and she went to college and got her degree in math, and she ended up becoming an actuary and wrote several actuarial textbooks and succeeded with that goal of being a mathematician, and she was just brilliant at it. Fast forward a few years, and she had 4 daughters, and Susie's daughters were beginning to struggle with multiplication, and Susie tried all different strategies and techniques to try to help her girls master multiplication. And it wasn't until one day Susie had her daughter jumping on the trampoline to try to learn skip counting that her daughter really suddenly mastered multiplication. She figured out how to multiply within correlation to that skip counting pattern that she was doing on the trampoline. And Susie, it just kind of clicked with Susie, and she, let me make sure here, perfect, okay. Wasn't sure if I saw somebody log in. And Susie said, there's something here with that. There's something that has to do with students and kids moving and jumping while they're trying to learn something. So she did a lot of research, and as she found, the brain is able to retain a lot more information while you are moving around because you're increasing the amount of oxygen intake in your body. So Susie developed these math and movement maths to get kids up, moving, jumping around. We want to get their heart rate pumping. We want to get their oxygen flowing. The more your heart is pumping, the more your blood is flowing into your brain, and the more oxygen you're bringing into your brain. And when you have oxygen in your brain, you're able to retain that information because all of your synapses are firing and you're really able to just master that material. So, kind of the theory behind math and movement is if we can get kids to master skip counting, from there, they will be able to master multiplication. For the most part, and there are always exceptions, but for the most part, kids have a relatively easy time learning to count by twos and learning to count by fives. And from there, kids also have an easy time learning how to multiply by twos and multiply by fives. It's that multiplication by sixes, sevens, eights that these students find really challenging. So our goal is, if we can get kids to master skip counting by all of the multiples, then from there, multiplication will become that much easier. And in turn, if we could get our kindergarten, first, second graders to master skip counting by threes, fours, sixes, by the time they get to third grade and they really need to start to learn how to multiply, they're going to have this solid foundation. And from there, those multiplication facts will just come that much easier. And if kids can really become fluent in multiplication, then they're going to be able to succeed in math down the line. So much of advanced math just stems back onto that foundational basis with multiplication. I taught fifth grade math for years, and it was so frustrating when I would try to teach long division because my students were always able to master that multiplication pattern of bringing down and subtracting, but they would get their multiplication wrong, and they'd end up with the wrong answer because they multiplied incorrectly somewhere in that problem. So that will kind of correlate over a little bit into fractions. Same thing. If kids can't multiply, then finding common denominators as you're trying to add and subtract those fractions with unlike denominators, it's a challenge for those kids. So we want to make math fun, we want to make math exciting, and we want to make it tangible for kids. We don't want kids to be afraid of math. We want kids to love doing math. And kids love to move, and kids love to get their body involved, and that excites them. And it's just a win-win all around because they're having fun and they're learning, and the teachers are having fun. And so, it's great. There are a couple different parts to math and movement. I'm going to go over them briefly right now before we get a little bit more into our maths here. The first part of math and movement is called active math. And active math includes what I'm going to teach you right now, which is called whisper loud counting. And whisper loud counting is a technique that we use to teach students skip counting before we introduce them to the maths. And the great thing about these whisper loud skip counting exercises is that you can do them in your classrooms first thing tomorrow without any materials, without any maths. And they're fun. They're good energizers. If you see your whole class down in a slump and you need to get them up and excited and you need to get their blood flowing, doing a whisper loud counting exercise is a great way to achieve that goal. So I'm going to do an example of a whisper loud counting exercise for you right now. We're going to do what is called the elephant march. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the brain gym hookup. And if you are not familiar with brain gym, one of the studies of brain gym and one of their philosophies is that anytime you cross the midline of your body with your arms or your legs, you are stimulating both the right and the left hemispheres of your brain. And anytime you get both hemispheres of your brain stimulated at the same time, you're going to maximize the amount that your brain is able to retain. So you're really maximizing that amount of information that your kids can learn. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to put our hands in front of us. we're going to put our right hand on top of our left hand, and then we're going to flip the direction of our hands. So our palms are facing the other way. Now you're going to clasp your hands like this, and you're going to scoop your hands toward you like you're scooping an ice cream cone. This right here is going to be our elephant's trunk. I'm going to back up a little bit so you can see my feet here. And when we do the whisper loud counting for this elephant's march, we're going to practice skip counting by threes, and we're going to go all the way to 30. So for starters, I'm going to take my right foot, I'm going to cross it over my left leg, and I'm going to whisper 1. I'm going to take my left foot, cross it over my right leg, and whisper 2. Then I'm going to raise my elephant's trunk, and I'm going to shout 3. Okay, I'm going to do that again. 1, 2, 3. Excellent. Okay, we are now going to do the elephant's march, skip counting by threes, all the way to 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Very good. Now, after we do our whisper loud counting, we are going to move straight into skip counting by threes to really enforce that multiple. And we can do that while we're clapping. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30. Very good. So that was one example of a whisper aloud counting exercise. We started off by whispering the in-between numbers and then shouting the multiple. And subliminally, our brain is able to remember that 3, 6, 9 multiple pattern because we're shouting it louder. And then we reinforce that by skip counting just by threes. I'm going to do one more example of a whisper loud counting exercise for you. And this one's going to be called the sixes twist. And to do this, I'm going to start off by tapping my right foot with my left hand and whisper 1. Opposite, 2. I'm going to swing my hips to the right, 3. 4. I'm going to cross my arms over my chest, 5. 6. I'm going to do that again for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we're going to do this again all the way up to 60. And now note how I'm crossing the midline of my body with my feet and with my hands. Okay, we can get a little beat. Ready, set, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60. Excellent. Very good. So from here, we're going to go straight into just skip counting by sixes. Ready, set, go. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 54, 60. Very good. So we did the whisper loud counting exercise where we were crossing our midline, and then we went straight into then we went straight into the skip counting active math portion of that. So very good. Again, it's really fun to have the students make up their own movements. We have a book called it's called the Training Manual for Elementary Teachers, and this book is wonderful. It gives all different strategies for teaching skip counting, but you can also make up your own strategies. You can have the kids make up their own movements. Whenever they add their own personal touches to things, it really helps excite them, and then again, that really helps to maximize the amount of information that they're able to retain. They can do anything. A lot of the boys like to pick different sports. You can dribble the basketball. You can do jump shots across your body. I had a girl who loved cats a few years ago, so everything we did was related to a cat. We pet the cat over here. We pet the cat over here. We pretended to be a cat scratching on the pole over here. So you can do whatever you want. You can relate it to current events. The Star Wars movie just came out, so you can do something with your lightsabers or whatever you can do to get those kids excited and passionately involved in their skip counting. Okay, now that I talked a little bit about skip counting with whisper loud movements, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the math and movement skip counting mats that you received in your classrooms. So you all received the skip counting by 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, and 9 mat. We don't have a skip counting by 5 mat because we use a big clock hop that we have. So we don't have a 5 mat, but we have all of the others, and you have them in your classroom. So for starters, I'm going to just tell you some of the details that each mat has before I show you how to use them. Okay. I'm going to show you right here first on the skip count by 6 mat. This mat right here is skip counting by 6. It has all of the multiples up to 60 highlighted on this mat. We have a big orange block down here that says 0. And then we have the numbers in between 0 and 6 in small horizontal lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then our 6 is big. We also have a little hexagon over here with 6 individual small pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we can teach our kids that 6 is made up of 6 ones, 6 parts right here. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Here there are 2 hexagons, each with 6 pieces again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Each number has the number form of the word and the word form. So this is also, this is a good strategy that we can use with the smaller kids. Sometimes I'll cover up the word forms of the word with a piece of paper or a piece of tape, and I'll have them pull the word form out of a bag, paper bag, something like that, and they need to find the word form of the actual number and place it next to it or go check it. And you can do the same thing. You can cover up the numbers and see if the kids can read the different numbers here. Each of your multiples have little feet marks on them, and that is to encourage the kids to jump on the numbers with the feet. Okay. Over here is our skip counting by 2 mat. And this mat is a little bit different, but for the most part the same. Here we have all of the numbers from 0 to 20 in the same size. So it's basically a big it's a 0 to 20 number line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way up to 20. Our multiples of 2 all have a blue background. 2, 4, 6, 8. Whereas our in-between numbers, 1, 3, 5, 7, etc., they're all in different colors. Just like the skip counting by 6 mat, all of the numbers have a big number, and then it written out in word form. And then we have little dots, or basically they're little arrays to show how many numbers we're talking about. Okay, very good. When we're introducing the kids to counting on the mats and jumping on the mats, we want to encourage them to jump slowly and loudly. The first few times the kids jump on the mats, they're probably gonna get ahead of themselves. They're going to count faster than they're actually jumping. They might get a little disoriented at first. Some of them stumble a couple times, but you just say, "Hey, great job! Let's try it again." And usually after they jump through it once or twice, they usually pick up on it pretty quickly. So I'm going to give a few examples of how we can jump down the 0 to 20 number line. Starting off here on 0. 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. So we jumped down it slowly and loudly. So you can have the kids jump down it by 2s. The 0 to 20 number line is great for teaching the younger kids how to add and subtract. What is 6 plus 7? Okay, stand on 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's 13. What is 10 minus 4? Start on my 10. I'm subtracting. I want to go towards my 0. 1, 2, 3, 4. 10 minus 4 is 6. It's also great for the younger kids as they're trying to learn one-to-one correspondence. You can have them jump on a number and then drop little objects into a bin, anything along those lines. I know you guys are third grade teachers, so I'm not going to go into the logistics of using this mat with the lower elementary grades too much, but if you have any questions about that, don't hesitate to send me an email and I'd be more than happy to help you out with that. Right now, here I'm going to demonstrate some strategies for how to actually translate that skip counting into the teaching of multiplication. So let's say I have my skip counting by 6 mat right here, and we've already done our whisper loud counting exercises, and our kids are really becoming good at that skip counting by 6. So now we're going to have them skip count down our hop by 6 mat. So just like we did on our count by 2s, we'll start at 0, 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, and so forth, all the way down to 60. One fun exercise that we do a lot is I'll divide up a class. Half the students stand on one side of the mat, half the students stand on the other side of the mat, and then we pick a student volunteer who starts at 0 and jumps down the mat on all of the multiples. As that student jumps down the mat, the rest of the class is clapping and counting with the student as they jump. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, and so forth. When that student gets to the end, another student jumps down the mat. And you can have each student in the class jump down the mat once. It won't take all that long. But if you have 24 students, then those students just jumped down the mat and skip counted by 6 24 times. So that muscle memory, it really helps and turns into, something that the kids master pretty quickly. But anyway, to translate that into actual multiplication, I usually get my kids down on their hands and knees, and I talk to them a little bit about what the math means and what it means to multiply. So I say, okay, let's take a look at this. Here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's one group of 6. And see, I have one group of 6 right here. One hexagon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One group of 6. Right here I have 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Here's a second group of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One group of 6, two groups of 6. One group of 6, two groups of 6. Okay, let's come down here. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Here's my third group of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. Three groups of 6. So here's 6 one time. Here's 6 two times. Here's 6 3 times. So we can look at it as repeated addition. 6 plus 6 plus 6 equals 18. Or 6 times 1, 2, 3. 6 times 3, or 6 3 times, is 18. So we can have the kids jump that out. What is 6 times 3? 1, 2, 3. 6 times 3 is 18. Great, excellent. What's 6 times 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 times 6 is 36. What we can do sometimes also is make little note cards, and we can put them next to the numbers. This here says times 1. Put 6 times 1. This here says times 2. This here says times 3. And you can continue it all the way down the line. But the kids can count. 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 3 is 18. As they're jumping, and they're continually jumping from side to side and up and down the mat, their blood is really flowing. Just that short amount of jumping, I'm a little out of breath. My heart's beating, my heart's racing, and I really haven't done all that much. My body's getting warmer. As you can see, I'm in my basement. It's freezing down here. But now that I'm up and moving around, my body's a lot warmer. I'm a lot more energized. And I feel really good. And that's how you want your students to feel while they're doing math. So that's basically how you can use these skip counting multiplication mats. If you have any questions about how to use those, don't hesitate to give me a call, send me an email, and I can help you out with skip counting mats, different strategies for using them in your classroom, whole group, small group, all that fun stuff. Okay. I've had some of you ask me the best way to store these mats in your classroom. So to answer that, I'm just going to show you how I roll this mat up. I just roll them. Honestly, usually I have the kids roll them. Doesn't take that long. And then once it's rolled, it doesn't take up that much space. You could stick it in a bin or a box in the corner of your room and use it as needed from there. And I'll just get this other one out of the way so I can show you. Very good. So I can show you the equivalent fraction hop. Now this right here is the other mat that you have in your classrooms. For starters, I'm just going to walk you through the mat a little bit, show you some of the different features of the mat before I give you some different ways to use the mat in your classroom. I'm going to move this over here so you can see all this a little bit better. Very good. Okay. So this mat is divided up into fractional parts. This whole strip right here represents one whole. And we also have one whole being represented down here on this side of the mat. Right here, this is 1/2 and 2/2. So this is divided into halves. This one, this blue vertical column, is divided into thirds. 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. This red vertical column is divided into fourths. 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4. This is divided into fifths, sixths, sevenths, eighths, ninths, and tenths. Each fraction also has pictures to show what fraction we're talking about here. So right here, this is 3/5, and I have my big numerator, my denominator. I have a circle graph or a pie chart that shows I have 3 out of my 5 fractional parts shaded. I have a square divided up into 3/5, and I have a rectangle divided up into 3/5. So each fraction on this mat has the same thing. It has the fraction, it has the fraction shown as a circle, a square, and a rectangle. Now, to show what numbers are equivalent on this mat, we match these up with horizontal lines. So 1/4 is equivalent to 2/8 because the horizontal line at the top of the fraction bar is at the same horizontal spot on the mat. 1/4 is equivalent to 2/8. 1/3 is equivalent to 2/6, and if you keep going, to 3/9. 1/2 is equivalent to 2/4, 3/6, 4/8, and 5/10, and so forth. So that's just how the mat is oriented. When I'm first introducing the mat to the kids, I start off by having them jump on every single number, every single fraction on this mat. 1/2, 1/2, 2/2 is 1/2. 1/3, 2/3, 3/3 is 1/2. 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4 is 1/2. 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, 5/5 is 1/2, and so forth. And like I said before, just from that little jumping, I'm kind of out of breath. So it gets kids up, it gets kids moving. Also, what I like to have the kids do right away is I have them find every single fraction on this mat that is equivalent to each other. And we start off over here. Okay, 1/2. What fractions are equivalent to 1/2? Where do my horizontal lines meet up? 2/2, because that's still 1/2. 3/3, 4/4, 5/5, 6/6, 7/7, 8/8, 9/9, and 10/10. What fractions are equivalent to 1/2? 2/4, 3/6, 4/8, and 5/10. What fractions are equivalent to two halves? And we can keep going. What fractions are equivalent to 1/3, 2/6, 3/9, and so forth. And you can keep going from there. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you right now a little bit about how you can use this mat to meet the Common Core standards. We have lesson plan books on our website. It's called Math and Movement Common Core State Standard Lesson Plans, 3rd grade. And these lesson plans, they are available for you guys. There's a coupon code if you go to our website, mathandmovement.com, and you click on the section that says, I think it says books and lesson plans. You can find a whole section where it says e-lesson plans, and you can find the different Common Core standard that you want, and you can enter the coupon code FREE, and that will allow you to put the lesson plan into your cart and purchase it, but the coupon code negates the price to 0. Anyway, if you look at the fraction section of this book here, the fraction lesson plans in this lesson plan book, they don't actually use the equivalent fraction hop just because this mat wasn't developed yet. This book was written a few years ago, and it was before we had this mat. But it shows how you can use these skip counting mats to hit some of the Common Core standards also. But I just wanted you to be available or aware of this resource as well. But anyway, talking about some of our Common Core standards with regards to fractions, this mat really kind of helps make it a little bit more tangible at times. So we have right here this fraction, this standard. Use a fraction, understand a fraction as a number on the number line and represent fractions on a number line. And then the A portion of that, represent a fraction 1 over b on a number line diagram by defining the interval from 0 to 1 of the whole and partitioning it into b equal parts. So to do that, I basically teach the kids that this is essentially one big number line. So I can write here on this card, I have the number 0, and I have the number 1 on this one. So I'm going to put my 0 down here, and I'm going to put my 1 up here. And I'm teaching the kids that I have my number line. Here's my 0, here's my 1. And I want to divide this into fifths. And here's 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, 5/5. So here's my number line divided into 5 equal parts. Now let's say I have a few points plotted on here. Here's point A, and here's point B. Where on my number line is point A? Well, I can have my kids jump to it. Starting at 0, 1, 2. Point A is at 2/5. Where's point B? 1, 2, 3, 4. Point A is at, point B is at 4/5. What is my distance from point A to point B on my number line? 1, 2. Point A to point B, it's 2/5. 2/5 is the distance in between these 2 points on the number line. Now what I also can do is cover up the numbers. Let's say I want to have the kids determine how many equal parts this is divided into. So you can use note cards. I'm using just a deck of playing cards because that's what I have handy right now. You can use pieces of paper. And so now I have my number line again. I have 0 and I have 1. And I want to have the kids determine how many fractional parts I divided this number line into. So they'd have to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's divided into 5 equal parts. That's going to be my denominator. So I can remove my denominator cards to show that I'm divided into 5s. And then from there, same thing. They can jump to see what different points they're at. They can jump to determine how far away one point is from another. How far away is point B from 0? You can jump. You can also see, what different numbers those particular points could be equivalent to if we were to divide it up into different fractional parts. So that's one really good strategy for hitting that Common Core standard. Now, as you notice, this number line right here is oriented in a vertical format. Most of the number lines that your kids are going to be writing are probably going to be in a horizontal format. So you can have the kids draw their own horizontal number lines and have them match that up to the vertical number line that they are jumping on. So, that's another great skill, too, to really see if your kids are grasping the material. Once they've jumped on it and they've mastered their vertical number line, then we see if they can translate that skill to a horizontal number line as well. So that's good for that. We can also use this mat to teach the basic addition and subtraction of fractions. I'll lower this again a little bit so you can see the mat a little bit better. Let's say we wanted to know what 3/8 plus 3/8. So I'm going to start here on 3/8. 1, 2, 3. 3/8 plus 3/8 is 6/8. Okay, awesome. Great job. 6/8. How do I reduce that fraction? How can I put that fraction in lowest terms? Well, I can see if this is equivalent to anything. And I can do that by sliding my foot down and seeing that 6/8 is equivalent to 3/4. And that 3/4 would be the lowest terms for 6/8. Same thing for subtraction. What's 6/7 minus 3/7? 1, 2, 3. 6/7 minus 3/7 is 3/7. Can I reduce that anymore? I walk out and look for my horizontal line to match up with that, and no, there's no way that that can be reduced any further. Very good. Okay. Looking at another one of our standards. This says here, compare two fractions with the same numerator of the same denominator by reasoning about their size. Okay, so here, one concept that was always really tricky to get across to my kids was why 1/5 is in fact smaller than 1/3, or why that's smaller than 1/2. Because 5, it's bigger. 5 is bigger than 3, and 5 is bigger than 2. So it just seems so inherent to the kids that 1/5 is of course going to be bigger than 1/3 because 5 is bigger than 3. But once you have them down here on the mat, you're able to show them that 1/3 is in fact bigger than 1/5 because when I divide my whole into 3 equal parts, each one of these pieces is bigger. You guys are all really smart. You're all teachers. You're all really creative. This mat is basically just one giant manipulative that you can use to help you out. I know you guys probably all use fraction bars, and you all use different fraction strips, all different kinds of manipulatives that the kids are always moving around on their desks and everything. And those are such great tools, especially when you pair them with this, because you have the kids solve the different problems while they're jumping on the mat, and then they can go back to their desks and they can do independent practice with the fraction strips or with the different fraction bars. Or you can have different stations set up. You can have the big math and movement mat station where the kids are jumping, and then they are in another station and they're using their hands to manipulate the fraction tiles. And so it's just one more way that we can try to reach these kids. One different modality that we can use to, really get these kids excited about math. So that right there is pretty much our equivalent fraction hop. If you have any questions about using this particular mat in your classroom, don't hesitate to email me, give me a call, anything along those lines. I do see that I have one person that's joined our cast. Do you have any questions? Since you're on here, if you have any questions, I can ask you and try to get to the bottom of those. No? Okay. Perfect. Okay. I want to show you real quick, as long as my screen sharing option works, I want to show you a super quick 1.5-minute long video of Susie working with working with a couple kids on this mat. It's a great video that, it's just fun to see the kids on it. So if I can get this to work here. Okay, hopefully this is going to work.
This is the equivalent fraction hop. The purpose of this mat is to give students a visual understanding of fractions. The whole number 1 is on both sides of the mat. And then in between that are fractions for 1/2, 1/3, 1/4, all the way up to 1/10. So what the students do is to start at the bottom of the mat and jump up 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. 3/3 makes 1. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to jump on the 1/7 and say 1/7, then jump on the 2/7 and say 2/7, and keep jumping all the way up until you get 7 to 7/7. Ready, go.
1/7, 2/7, 3/7, 4/7, 5/7, 6/7, 7.
The equivalent fraction hop also has pictures of a circle, triangle, and rectangle to help the students understand another picture of the fraction hop. I would like to know if 3/9 is equivalent to 1/3. Is it equivalent? Yes, it is. Good job. Thank you very much. And the students really enjoy having this opportunity to jump on the mat and understand the fractions.
Okay, so that was just a quick little video. Hopefully you were able to see it. If I'll send the link out to that video also in a follow-up email that I'm going to do. I want to talk for a moment or two about the fraction pilot study that the Diocese of Rochester is going to be doing. You guys will be participating in this fraction pilot study. Now that you all have the mats, I sent out the pre-test for fractions last Friday. If you did not receive that, pretest, just let me know. I'll make sure I get you a copy of it. We want you to give the students a pretest and then work with the students for 3 weeks, see how much information they're able to retain, and then post-test the students on January 29th. So you should have pre-tested them on the 11th, and then we're going to post-test them on January 29th. However, if you're viewing this a little late and you haven't gotten started with that yet, that's fine. Pre-test the kids as soon as you get a chance, and then 3 weeks later, we're going to post-test the students. We just want to keep that 3-week window the same, so that way we have, some semblance of similarity with our data to see how much, the kids were able to learn in the 3 weeks' time. I have had some of you express concern that you are not teaching fractions yet, and you're not planning on teaching fractions for a while. That's fine. I also sent out a pre and post test for you for skip counting by sixes. So you can give the kids the skip counting by sixes the skip counting by sixes pretest, and then you can work with the kids on the skip counting by six mat, see how much they're able to retain, and then same thing, 3 weeks later, give the post test for that. So just kind of to sum everything up that I talked about today in this session, math and movement, kind of the whole goal. We want kids up. We want them moving around. We want to make math tangible. We want to make math fun. We want to make it relatable. We want kids to be up. We want to get that blood flowing. We want to get that oxygen going into their brain to really help stimulate that brain and to maximize the amount of information that the kids can retain. We use skip counting exercises, whisper loud counting techniques, and skip counting to try to get kids to pick up on that skip counting pattern to in turn help make multiplication really fluent for these kids. When these kids can master multiplication, they're going to be really confident in themselves, and they're going to be able to master more advanced math. We have our equivalent fraction hop here that is great for teaching basic addition and subtraction of fractions. It's great for teaching just the basis of fractional parts and what the fractional part is within relation to its whole. We can use this to create number lines and have the kids find certain points on a number line and to determine the distance between those points. We can have kids compare fractions on the mat. Put these 3 fractions in order from least to greatest. 3/6, 1/3, and 2/8. You can have one student stand on 3/6, one student stand on 1/3, and one student stand on 2/8. And they're able to determine that 2/8 is the smallest. And then comes 1/3. And then 3/6 is the largest of that. So this mat is just so great for getting kids to be able to really see how you can order fractions from least to greatest or greatest to least. And then just again to finish that up, as part of the pilot study that the Diocese of Rochester is going to be doing, can pre-test your students on either the fractions or the skip counting. And then you have 3 weeks to work with your students on the mats, doing different exercises and activities, and then we'll post-test the students 3 weeks later, and hopefully we'll see some growth. If you have any questions at all with using the mats, coming up with different activities to use in your classroom in either whole group or small group settings, just send me an email, and I'd be more than happy to help you out. Thank you very much. Hope you guys have a great night.